UFC 305. Listen, we made it down under. Here with the man, Dricus Du Plessis, man. I've been following this guy for a minute now. You know what I mean? He's always been good to us over here at Full Send. And I think the biggest question going into this week is where did the mustache go?
Man, I kind of feel bad because everybody tells me the compliments I've been getting from the mustache, and I just, when I had it, I loved it, but I thought it was one of those things where you think it looks cool, and then everybody thinks, "What are you doing?" But I mean, it was when I got to Oz, I just knew I had to because I saw everybody have it, and it's really a thing in Oz. I know that now for a fact because I was just trimming my beard because it was getting a bit long, like always, and then there was this voice saying, "One morning, leave the stash." And I was like, "What? Why would I leave the stash?" And it kept saying, "Leave the stash." And I left the stash, and that's why all the Australians have mustaches. And I had to take it off because I had to. If I'm going to grow one, I'm going to grow it at my own will. I'm not going to have that voice tell me that you have to keep the stash.
So I don't know if you saw tonight, there was Dana White's Contender Series, and Dana did an interview afterward. He said a couple interesting things. He said, he had talked about it earlier in the week or earlier in the day. He said that Strickland's probably going to be next on Jim Rome, kind of confirmed it tonight. And then he also said, if you're going to win this Saturday, they're going to do a show in South Africa. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he said that as well when I fought Strickland, that they want to do a show in South Africa. I mean, let me tell you this: South African sports minister is going to be in attendance at this fight. We want to make this happen in South Africa by whatever means, and for that to happen, I need to win this fight, and that's the most important part. And I'm going to win this fight. It's going to be very important for that. So, I mean, obviously, taking this fight of a UFC to South Africa has been a dream of mine for a long time. It's part of my trajectory in the goals I need to reach and want to and going to reach in my life. And I've always visioned it. I've always envisioned that, and it's getting closer and closer. So I'm really happy that they are really considering it. And then with Sean Strickland being the number one contender, I'm great. I mean, because everybody asks me, like, with the Khamzat, I was assuming that the Khamzat and Whittaker fight would be for number one contender, but I don't know. I would be happy to fight any one of those three guys. And I'm really happy that they made that decision because now I don't have to think about it, and I have to think about defending this belt, and then I'm guessing Strickland's next.
And then, what do you think about? I mean, you're going to get a million questions about Israel Adesanya this week, but I think people can look at his record and kind of be deceived by it a little bit because, I mean, he is, if you look at his last 7 fights, I think he's 4-3 overall. But, I mean, you look at the guys that he's fought. He fought up a weight class. He fought Pereira. He fought Strickland. Do you think that he's still the guy that was reigning all the way through when he was, like, one of the best middleweights in the world? I mean, obviously, he still is one of the best middleweights in the world. But do you think that he's the guy that was winning all those fights consecutively?
Yeah, I very, very much hope so. I trained my ass off for this fight. I trained so incredibly hard for this fight. I don't want no watered down Adesanya, and I think the break was good for him. I'm glad he did it, and this is a big fight for him. It's a big fight for him. It's the biggest fight for me. Like every fight is the biggest fight for me. I think he is still that guy, but I do think I am the guy that beats that guy. The best that people have of Adesanya in their head, the fight where you thought he looked the best, I am ready to beat that Adesanya. If he shows up this weekend, I will still beat that Adesanya, and that's what I prepared for. I didn't prepare for Adesanya with a subpar performance. I didn't prepare for that. I prepared for the Adesanya we've seen at his best and even better than that.
What do you think about, like, he's been posting a lot about putting weight on and bulking up and things like that. Do you think he really had enough time to develop, like, physically to be stronger and to be, like, a bigger guy in this weight class? Or do you think there just wasn't enough time?
No, that's not possible. If you're doing it naturally, it's not possible. When I moved up in a weight loss from 170 to fighting at 185, even though I was walking around very heavy, I was too big for 170. I took a whole year off to grow into that, and he took a year off. But I'm not convinced that he took that whole year off to build muscle and become a bigger guy. I'm going to be very honest with you. I think he, of course, spent time on healing and more. I think the break was much more mental and emotional than it was physical. And yeah, I think, you know, if it's going to come to power, great. I mean, I've seen him around. He doesn't look much bigger than me. He doesn't look bigger at all. I saw the photo with him fighting Pereira versus fighting now, a week out. It looks the same to me. And when it comes to big, it's not a problem for me if we're going on how big somebody is.
And then you kind of mentioned it when you were fighting Strickland. Is there a part of you that I know Dana said Strickland's next, but is there ever a part of you that's like, hey man, maybe I go up and I fight Alex Pereira. Maybe I do what Izzy couldn't and I go up to 205 and I win 2 titles. Is that somewhere down the line? Is that in your mind?
Absolutely. I would, you know, for me, I think for anybody that's chasing GOAT status, that's chasing, you know, John Jones' status at this stage, it's chasing that is, you know, it's almost the bar's been set. You know, you can't really reach that in today's day and age without being a double champion, because even though you can be the best in your weight division, you can be the greatest middleweight of all time, but you're not going to be one of the greatest, if the greatest fighter of all time, without doing a double division at this stage. And yeah, in the future for sure, but that's not at all even in the priority list for the foreseeable future. My foreseeable future is defending this belt and not only beating and winning the fights, but convincingly making sure that, without a doubt, I am in the middleweight division, the challenges are done and go up. I think Israel Adesanya did a great job at that. He was defending his belt and he was undoubtedly champion. There was no challenges when you ran through the division. Same with Conor. The one thing with Conor, he did it immediately after winning the belt, but he did run through the division. He did win his title in 13 seconds. So rightfully so. And, you know, so that's what I'm saying. When you're that dominant, that's when you decide to go up. So I said it the other day that I don't think you should be going up a weight division unless you've defended your belt at least 3 times.
Why let me entertain you? Why not Millennium, bro? I saw the song choice and I was like, of all the Robbie Williams songs, why not Millennium?
Because I'm an entertainer. We opened up the season with that. Opening up a season, didn't that song just make you feel entertained? I mean, that was it. And yeah, that was the vibe. The vibe was crazy in there. It was a pretty easy choice.
What is that like? Because like all of a sudden you're going on shows, like singing shows, and then like another thing, like you go to the airport and like it's one thing to have people take pictures with you and to have people wearing your t-shirts, but like people are getting your face tattooed on their leg now. You know what I mean? Like, what is that like? That's got to be a different feeling when you see things like that.
Oh, well, I mean, just that arrival at the airport was one of the craziest things. I mean, it literally felt like I heard and knew again. When I walked out there, I couldn't believe the amount of people. I knew there were going to be some people, because usually I don't let people know when I'm returning, because I always change my tickets. If I'm having a good time, I'll stay a bit longer. And we actually stayed to the plan, returning from Canada. And when I rocked, I knew there was going to be maybe a couple of hundred people, and there were thousands. It was insane at that airport. And like you said, I mean, it's amazing. It makes the whole experience, the whole victory, the whole accomplishment, achievement that much better, even better than I anticipated originally, because that's not what I anticipated. I anticipated the personal goal being reached. I didn't anticipate that. So that was amazing. And of course, the singing show, I mean, they told me I was wearing a mask, and I said, well, that's perfect. That's perfect. Nobody knows it's me. So I can, live out my dream being on a stage singing. And then they said, well, you got voted out, so you have to be unmasked. I was like, oh, shit. All right. Okay. And they made me sing unmasked too. So yeah, that was crazy. I mean, talk about a fighter with no fear and stepping up in the heated situations. That was a different kind of pressure, because it's something I don't do. I don't sing. I mean, it was great. I mean, stepping out of the comfort zone a little after achieving something like that it was fun.
Last one. Who do you think's, when it comes down to it, who do you think's gonna have the better trash talk? You think it's gonna be Strickland, or do you think it's gonna be Izzy? Because like for you, I was having a conversation with somebody today. I feel like you're that guy in the friend group that can just like, when it comes down to it, you can just push everybody's buttons. Like, man, that motherfucker got me. Like, and you can do that with everybody that you know. You know what I mean? So like, when it comes to trash talking, who do you think is gonna be better between Sean and Izzy? And is there anyone at your division that can trash talk probably like as good as you?
Yeah, I don't necessarily see myself as a trash talk. I just see myself as on the spot, always ready to reply.
A button pusher.
Yeah, I can push the buttons all I want. And, you know, I guess I can attribute that to the culture in South Africa, the banter. You know, very similar to Australia. That's one thing I found. I have a lot of friends here, and the Australians are very, very similar in that way. It's banter, back and forth. So, and growing up with three brothers, and I'm the youngest, so you had to be witty, you had to be on your feet. So that helps. But I do think, you know, Izzy's one-liners, You know, he's had some good ones, I guess, but not recently. And then, you know, Sean. People love Sean Strickland's trash talk. But I shut that down. And, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe it's a respectful environment. We'll see.
Did you see what Izzy posted on Twitter today?
No. What did he?
I'll pull it up real quick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Israel Adesanya. Okay, he says, good morning, everyone except DDP. So you're telling me you're the real African champion, and then he kind of points at your crotch.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, woof, woof.
I guess we'll leave it at that, brother. I guess we'll leave it at that. Dricus
What a weird thing to do. Jeez, what? Wow, okay, well.
We'll see what he says tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just ask and say, listen, what's that about? Like, I don't understand. Maybe, was he talking about size? Maybe it was that, maybe.
So you're telling me you're the real African champion. And take it as you may, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, take it as you may.
Listen, Dricus Du Plessis going up against Israel Adesanya this weekend, UFC 305. Always a pleasure to see you, bro. I'll stand up. Let's stand up, my guy.
Good to see you again.